So welcome everybody, and I'm glad everybody could come attend to this. You can definitely see that prescribed fire, the momentum is really building within Pennsylvania right now. So as far as agency updates, I'm going to give you guys a recap of 2024, how we did burning statewide. Kind of looking at it, this past year we ran about on the average. We had 428 burns for 14,469 acres. And like I said, this is running about our average year, what we seem to be over the past couple of years. So kind of want to look at how it compares to everything else over the years since 2010, since we started keeping statistics on what we burned. You know, you kind of see there, we're right around where we were in the past. In the past 3 years, we've been there about, just a little bit shy of that 15,000 acre mark, minus 2021, where we had a pretty banner year where we burned up to a little over 22,000, I believe, was burned that year. But if you're looking at the 10-year average, is 15,408 acres. So we're kind of right around that same area where we've been over the last 10 years. We kind of hit that bump there, and we just kind of seem to be stuck there right now. You not hear me? Oh, okay. All right, they're going to fix something here for you. But
Todd's gonna tell you a joke while we check one thing.
Anybody know why we probably had an average year last year? Weather. Yeah, that seems to be the thing. Every time we start to get that window where it's starting to open up there, where it's drying out enough and it's about where we need it to be, we just get enough rain there to push it back. So it seems like our windows, as soon as they start opening, they just start to close again. And that's been the past couple of years there, last 3 years. I know it's starting to get excited. Hey, everything's drying out. We're going to be able to get some good burn weather in there. We're going to be able to do some burning, and boom, all of a sudden you get a little bit of a shower and it messes something up. One of the things we had this past year that we didn't have in the last couple of years was a fall fire season. That really messed us up, where everyone was getting ready to burn. Well, it ended up with the drought and everything. We were way too dry to burn. People were finding out that even a little burn, you ended up sitting there for days and days and days trying to babysit it, because it was just starting to burn so far down into the duff. It was kind of getting like Western fires, where you just had to stay on top of it because you couldn't walk away after a day or two, because it just kept burning very deep. And then the pictures there, that's the Gap Fire up in Northampton County. That ended up, it ate a lot of resources up. So even if we had the weather where we could have been burning, we probably wouldn't have been in a lot of places, because a lot of you in this room ended up on that fire and on one of the other ones we had out here, just out in Altoona. So we did eat up a lot of resources with the fires, and it was way too dry that we couldn't burn, because it was just a nightmare trying to mop them up, and the drought just made it a mess. As far as who's burning here, where we're at here, you're looking at this list. This is a little bit deceiving with the list here, and what I'm tracking here, it's kind of hard when I track numbers, because agencies report things, but sometimes it's their own land, or sometimes they're burning on other land. Like good examples, the Game Commission, they have a lot of federal lands that they're burning on, where they have the partnerships with the Army Corps of Engineers at some of the different places. So the Game Commission's actually doing all the work, they're burning it, but I'm not necessarily tracking that as Game Commission burns. And it works that way. I know they do out by my office, there's a county that they do some burning for. So this is kind of showing a lot of what the burning is on their own lands. So if you look at that, the Game Commission is one of the biggest burners, obviously. They had a little over 10,000 acres, and that's mostly of their own lands that were burning. So you can kind of see what we're looking at here, who's actually agencies that are burning. Another one, the Nature Conservancy, they have a couple burns on their own lands, but they're also doing a lot of burns on other people's property as well. So that's not captured in this slide right here. So that's just kind of showing you agencies and organizations burning on their own land. One of the other things we track is actually the ownership. That's one of the bigger things that I know Eastern area wants to see from the Forest Service is, what kind of acres we're looking at on property owned, who owns what property. So looking at that, obviously the state's going to be one of the largest ones in the state as far as number of acres that we're putting fire down for. And we did have quite a bit of county township, 274 acres that were burned last year. And that number of the private there, it's still small. We'll be talking about that in about 2 hours. I'll be talking about the private lands burning. But you look at that, we're still at, only 264 acres. So we're not getting the burns that we need on private lands, because most of the land here is privately owned, and we're not getting the fire down on some of those acres where we need to at that point. As far as standard changes, coupled with some of the trainings, the RX 300 prescribed burn boss, I think that's is the title of that, the NWCG course. We didn't realize the NWCG actually took that course out of required training for burn boss, and we were kind of mirroring what their standards are. And with that, it's a really in-depth course to put on. We looked at putting it on at the council level this year, but it was just, there was too much involved with it. So we're not going to be putting it on. And since we can't offer it and it's not required in the federal standards and NWCG, we're pulling that out this year as a required course. Now, it's still going to be as a recommended course. If you can get it out of state, definitely take it. It's a good course to have, but it's pretty in depth. So we kind of pulled that out of the standards for this year for people that are following the state standard, so we don't hold them up, so we can get some people up through the system. The other one is L180, the leadership class. That kind of fell through the cracks. We didn't realize that it used to be in the 130, 190, but then they took it out, and we didn't realize that. So you have to take that separate of all the other classes now. So that's put back into the standards where it's actually spelled out for basic firefighter too. You need that L180, that leadership course. It's a four-hour course. So we added that back into the standards. It was in years ago, and then they combined the classes. The biggest change for the standards this year is going to be DEP notification. So everybody pay attention here, because last year they had a change and a lot of people missed it. They're no longer where you're going to email them the burn plan, the first 2 pages of the burn plan. We're not going to be sending that to the email address that's listed in the standards anymore. When you look at the standards, they have all the different regional offices. That's if you ask questions, that's who you can call to talk to the air quality supervisor. So we're not emailing them. We're not calling them the day of the burn and letting them know. They're moving everything to this on-base electronic forms public upload system. So everything's going to be online now. It's in the same place. It is in the standards. We just posted them. And if you look at the DEP contacts in the standards, Stephen put it in last night. So it is actually on our webpage. It'll link you in, and it gives you that link to where you have to at DEP. And I kind of took a screenshot here of the page. It's a little bit confusing, but you click on the link like you're just going to be submitting a plan. And then there's a couple drop-down boxes, but you look at the options. You're going to look at the first one's going to be air quality. So it's going to air quality, and then it's going to ask for the submission type. There's lots of different choices there. Just choose the air quality report miscellaneous submission, because there's some you pick in there where there's a fee associated with it. We're not paying anything. There's no fee. The purpose of this is they want to track everything as it comes into the system. That's how they do it for all their other permitting. And when they get right to know requests, this will make it easy for them that they can pop the right to know request up. But the air quality, the program type, that'll automatically, when you hit that air quality report, that'll automatically populate. And then the request type, just put other. Now, the key of this here is that bottom part under the project address. When you hit the city, make sure you take the city and then the county. The county down there, I have Lehigh County and Low Hill Township. Make sure you get that right county so it goes to the correct region for DEP. That's key to this, that the address isn't as important, but make sure you have that right county for where that burn's going to be in. If it's going to be in, multiple counties, if you're right on the border, that'll be addressed the burn day. But if you're just submitting this is your 25 working days ahead of time of the burn, you're just notifying DEP about it. Just put whatever the major county is that's in there for when you're just notifying them the first time. On burn day, you're going to have to go back in this system and do this exact same thing. So it's not going to be as easy as in the past where you just called the regional office and said, hey, we're burning this much today. You have to actually go into this system. It's going to be a little bit clunky early on, but as of today, we just rolled the standards out for today. So after today, if you're submitting a plan, make sure you're going in this system. I did send it to the game commission, so you guys should all have it. I sent it to Brian. You should all have the link to that, and I'll be sending it out to your first people after this meeting is over. So I'll capture most of the people that are in this room, but everybody else, go on the website. It's on, if you're in the prescribed fire, the council's website, go on to DEP and you'll see it in there to link to this. But it's going to be a little bit of clunky. Just make sure you got the right regional office. When you look down there, you kind of see right here, this Northeast regional office, make sure when you submit your county, it's hitting that right office. Now on the burn day, like I said, if you're doing multiple townships, make sure you have the townships. You can go down here. There's an add county municipality region. Put that one in as well. If you're burning where it's just going over the township line or the county line, this is just for documentation for if they ever get a right to know request of where something was burned at a certain time, they can pull it up and it'll populate it in for that county. Are there any questions on that? Okay, if you do have questions when you're going in, give me a call. I kind of went through this. I just was notified of this 2 days ago. So I was talking with DEP yesterday and I had him on the phone. I kind of went through this and was walking you through and trying to give him different scenarios. And I think we're going to be good that we're on the same page, but it's going to be a little bit clunky first couple times you guys do it. So just be aware of that.